this is the latest on the situation with this allegedly contaminated rice. Okay, the FDA insists that proper due diligence was conducted. They insist it will not jeopardize the health and safety of students. And I want us to listen to Joseph Yaobeni. He is FDA's Director of Legal and Corporate Affairs.
The laboratories that were accredited were allowed to do this test. One in India, one in Ghana, Center for Scientific Research, the CSIR, the Food Research did it, and FDA did a confirmatory test. And so those 3 laboratory tests tell us that the product qualities can still be used. The product can be used based on the qualities that have been tested in the 3 laboratories. And based on that, the best before date was extended to April, not to December as the manufacturer requested. They applied for extension of the best before date, and the processes, we took them through the processes. And once they qualified to have the date extended, we did that.
Yeah, so that's the FDA there saying that, look, they won't jeopardize people's health or safety for any reason. Thoughts?
I still want some independent institution or organization to look into this thing, just to bring the issue to rest, because it's still too, if I can use the expression, too murky, with respect to what is happening and whose verdict should we believe now on this particular issue. Very, very unfortunate, one can say.
So I think we still have a lot of questions for the Food and Drugs Authority. Right now, I'm sorry to say, but we don't care what you've done in the past. There is a specific issue on the table, and I think that's what people are asking. We're all asking questions. So your Ashanti Region branch makes certain recommendations, and then it is changed. People want to know what happened. Why did you change your mind from the recommendation to destroy those goods? And then the sanctions.
Yeah. Why
did you change?
Yeah.
I think those are like real questions, and whether or not the processes were not compromised.
Indeed.
So I think the actions you've taken in the past on different issues, we don't care about those now. This is on the table, and to get people satisfied, and that's why there are calls for independent bodies, because you see, if we begin to question whether or not we can trust the FDA, then that's a big problem. Because we know that they do these works every day. We don't hear about them. This is one that's on the table. So if the FDA will come clean and speak to this specific issue, I think we can kill it. Just answer the questions and tell us why you change your mind, because after all, you are the regulator. You do make changes. You can extend shelf life. It's your job. But Ghanaians just want to know what went into that thinking, especially when your Ashanti Region branch had made specific recommendations, because they found that out. They caught the people rebagging in an unauthorized place, for instance. So tell us. And they said it was unwholesome in the first place, and that they were going to destroy. But that will subsequently change. So tell us why.
They said there were insects in the rice, right? That's an FDA report. So the FDA, the CEO, Delis Mimidako, then writes to the company and says, "We found insects in your food, but we are extending the expiry date to April. Feed it to children." That's exactly what happened, and it concerns me. The gentleman who spoke on the news yesterday said they would never jeopardize us. That's what we all hope, right? That the FDA would never jeopardize us. But I'm sorry, you caught a company rebagging and relabeling rice as made in Ghana, right? And you should be checking every single bag or box or can or gallon of rice, fish, milk, oil, all of which this company supplies, right? You should be checking all of them, every single one that we've received from this company. Why has that not happened? Why hasn't there been some massive, audit of everything we are feeding children that we've bought from this Lamens company? If you wouldn't jeopardize us, that should have been your first step. When you granted this extension, why didn't you alert the schools that are going to eat this new rice that this rice now expires in April, or now has a best before date of April, so that they can do stock rotation. One of the jobs I did when I was a student and I used to jackpot small. I worked in a massive hospital in London called St. Thomas Hospital. They had a canteen called Shepherd Hall, and I used to be in charge of making sandwiches there. Now we had a process for the stuffing that goes into the sandwiches. They come from different manufacturers, and so we have to make sure that we are always using the most up to date or the most current. So we had a process in our freezer. It's called FIFO, first in, first out. So whatever comes in first, you use that first, so that at all times the freshest stuff is in the back. Okay. So if you are a school and someone brings you bags of rice, no best before date on them. It says ECOWAS something because the FDA has allowed them to do that. When you receive it, won't you put it in the back and use your other stock first? So how do we know that these schools ate that rice before April?
I mean, there are more questions.
You see what I'm saying?
So
if the FDA says that they are protecting us, why have they not made sure? In fact, right now, how do we know that some of those bags are not still out there waiting to be eaten in some of these schools?
We certainly have a lot more.
The FDA has a lot to do here before they can safely tell us that they would never jeopardize our lives. Because so far the narrative sounds as if they haven't really done enough to protect our children, and that's not good.
This commercial has been approved by the FDA.
We're going to go back to this issue. All
right, okay.
Let's hit the newspapers.
We'll start with the Ghanaian Times. Leads to security expert cautions against influx of firearms into the country. IGP calls for police media partnership to avert misinformation during the elections. 80 modern educational facilities unveiled for diverse needs of students nationwide. These are the stories on the lead page or on the front page of the Ghanaian Times.
All right, let's get to the Daily Graphic newspaper. The paper is focusing on Keta constituency as part of their constituency watch today. It says a safe haven for the NDC. Also, COA Global Peace Mission unveils blueprint on sustainable peace. EC destroys defective ballot papers for Ahafo and Volta regions. President inaugurates 80 educational projects. It says the government yesterday inaugurated 80 new educational infrastructure in about 60 municipalities and districts across the country as part of effort to transform the delivery of education. You know, when we're so close to the polls, we get lots of things commissioned or inaugurated, whatever. That's why we want every year to be election year.
Yeah. So maybe we see more projects. In US where we do midterm elections, maybe. Yeah. But if the country can afford it, you know.
I've seen Kojo Opom Nkrumah respond to this. People are raising that questioning. He says that we're not doing this because of the elections.
Oh, are we not?
And talk about
are we not?
Commissionings, you know, on the page 2 of the Ghanaian Times. Also, lands commissions a new corporate office, head office to be commissioned. That is the 25th of November, and it'll be done by the Vice President, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Commission of the new corporate head office of the Lands Commission on 25th of November 2000.
I think when you commission these projects, they'll have your name on it, isn't it?
Oh, really? Okay.
They'll have a place where they'll
say the signal it plays in the minds of electorates about maybe the good work you've done or something.
So we've been asking about legacies, right? So I guess this would be one of those, because if you've got a plaque that says this was commissioned by Kojo Yankson.
Okay.
Even if the building is not yet complete, as long as you can get your plaque.
There have been instances where they've been recommissioned, right? Oh. It happened in this country before, right?
Well, there's a story on the back page of the Daily Graphic. Is the African countries must enact climate change laws according to expert. But quickly, the Daily Guide newspaper says on election 2024, Bawumia 49.1%, Mahama 45.8%. I guess this is one of, this is from a poll that was conducted. It says a latest scientific survey on the December 7 elections has put the presidential candidate of the NPP ahead of the main opposition.
Which company did this
president.
one?
The research led by Professor Smart Sapong, Director of Research and Innovation at the Kumasi Technical University, said Dr. Baumia leads the presidential race with 49.1%, while Mr. Mahama follows with 45.8%. You can read the rest of it and make up your mind what you think. But a story of interest is on the back page of the paper. Nana Kumia was here yesterday on the Super Morning Show, talked about Otowado staying, and the paper has captured it. It says a vice chairman of the NPP's manifesto committee, Nana Komia, has urged the Ghana Football Association to resist calls for the dismissal of Black Stars coach Otto Addo following the team's failure to qualify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco.
Yes, Nana did say that he thinks that Otto Addo should be made to complete the cycle. An attempt to qualify us for the World Cup early next year, and that if he fails, then after that, then whatever decision is to be made can be made, but he should be allowed to complete that assignment.
I was listening to Songo on Fire for Fire Asempa yesterday. You know, when you do the analysis in Chi about our loss, like it hits differently. Just say but you know, he reminds us that if we fail to make it to the World Cup, Ghanaians will not forgive them. So that's why there are calls for him to go now. We must qualify. Or think of all my plans pass on Bitukai. If you prevent them from traveling. Shy.
He might be a fine man. The man is even struggling to qualify for the African Cup of Nations. And you know what is at stake when it comes to the World Cup. I think that is in his own interest just to step aside.
Let's also be fair to Nana Kumia's and those who agree with him. Bringing in a new coach has its own teething problems, and you have to time it well. If our goal is to qualify for the World Cup, we have to measure which one gives us a better chance. The known entity, or bringing in some unknown entity who has to come and struggle afresh.
But the known entity is struggling already.
But his first coming.
So you have
he came in at the latter part of the World Cup qualification. It's time to be corrected. So some will say that when you are a good coach, look at what is happening to the current coach of Chelsea, Liverpool. If you are a good coach, you don't really need time to show working.
Hey, okay. I will make this point on the 8th of January when we finish swearing in our new president, whoever he may be.